The alarm rang across the mining colony for the third time that week. Hyun-sik grabbed his equipment bag and ran toward the transport station. Beside him, Na-young checked her datapad as they moved. "Another attack?" she asked. "Same as before," Hyun-sik said. The creatures broke through the eastern fence again. They reached the transport just as Ambassador Thelvox stepped out. The tall reptilian diplomat looked tired. His scales, usually bright green, had turned a dull gray color. That meant stress for his species. "You are the humans," Thelvox said. It was not a question. "You are our last hope." Hyun-sik and Na-young followed him through the colony. Talus 9 was a small mining settlement on the edge of known space. About 2,000 people from 15 different species lived here. They dug rare metals from the ground and sent them back to their home worlds. It was hard work, but it paid well. But now, nobody wanted to work. They were all too scared. "The Vex car have been here for 6 months, Thelvox explained as they walked. "At first, we only saw them in the distance. Beautiful creatures. We thought. Silver fur that shines in the sun. Powerful and fast. We kept our distance." "What changed?" Na-young asked. "We expanded the mine. We needed more space. We moved into their territory." Thelvox stopped at a large building. "This is our research center. Dr. Oryx is waiting inside." The research center was a mess. Broken equipment lay everywhere. Deep claw marks scored the walls. In the center of the room, a large insectoid being stood over a holographic display. Dr. Oryx had 6 arms and compound eyes that never blinked. "More humans," Dr. Oryx said. His voice clicked and buzzed. "Thelvox, we have tried human methods before. Remember the trainers from Earth Colony 7? The Vex's car injured 3 of them. Opsi, Hyun-sik and Na-young are different," Thelvox said. "They are xenobiologists. They study alien animals." "I am a xenobiologist," Dr. Oryx said. His antennae twitched with annoyance. "I have studied the Vex car for 4 months. I have scanned their brains. I have analyzed their behavior. I have tested 17 different training methods. Nothing works." Hyun-sik stepped forward. "May we see your research?" Dr. Oryx touched the holographic display. Images appeared in the air. The Vex car looked exactly like the honey badgers from Earth, but much larger. They had 6 legs instead of 4. Their claws were longer and sharper. Their fur was silver instead of brown. "The Vex car have no fear response," Dr. Oryx explained. "Other animals run from danger. These creatures attack. Their skin is extremely tough. Energy weapons barely hurt them. Tranquilizer darts don't work. They metabolize the drugs too quickly." Na-young studied the images carefully. "What about their social structure?" "They have none. Each Vex car is alone. They meet only to mate, then separate immediately. But they must communicate somehow," Na-young said. Dr. Oryx made a sound like laughing. "They communicate through violence. That is all." Hyun-sik looked at the claw marks on the wall. "How many Vex car are near the colony?" "We count about 30 adults, maybe more. They are hard to track." "And how many attacks have there been?" 47 attacks in 6 months, Thelvox said. 12 people injured. No deaths yet, but it is only a matter of time. A human man entered the room. He wore a security uniform and carried a large weapon. "Ambassador, the council is meeting now. They want to vote." "Vote on what?" Hyun-sik asked. Thelvox looked uncomfortable. "On whether to exterminate the Vex car? The Galactic Conservation Corps protects them. But the council can request special permission if a species is too dangerous." "You can't kill them," Na-young said quickly. "They were here first. This is their home." "I agree," Thelvox said. "But the people are scared. They want to feel safe." The security officer spoke up. "I'm Tae-hee. I run security for the human workers here. I've seen what these things can do. They're not animals. They're weapons. Every time we try to capture one, it breaks free and hurts someone. Because you're trying to capture them, Hyunsik said. What if we tried something else? Like what? Dr. Oryx demanded. Like understanding them. Dr. Oryx's antennae drooped. I told you, I have studied them extensively. You've studied them as a problem to solve, Na Young said gently. We'd like to study them as living beings. The council meeting was loud and angry. 50 representatives from different species argued in the main hall. Some wanted the Vex car killed. Others wanted them relocated. A few, like Thelvox, wanted to find another solution. Commander Vril, the military leader, stood at the front. He was a large, armored being with 4 arms. We have wasted 6 months on soft solutions. These creatures cannot be reasoned with. They cannot be controlled. We must eliminate the threat. The Galactic Conservation Corps will not approve extermination easily, another representative said. We need to show we tried everything. We have tried everything, Dr. Oryx said from his seat. I have documented all attempts. Neural inhibitors, pheromone conditioning, sonic barriers, electromagnetic fields, behavioral modification through reward systems, nothing works. The Vexcar are neurologically incapable of domestication. Thelvox stood. The humans have just arrived. Give them a chance. More humans? Commander Vril said. The last human team failed. These are specialists, Thelvox said. Xenobiologists from Earth. They have worked with dangerous species before. How long do you want? Commander Vril asked, looking at Hyunsik and Na Young. Hyunsik thought for a moment. 2 weeks. The room exploded with noise. 2 weeks was nothing. It had taken Dr. Oryx 4 months just to study the creatures properly. Impossible, Commander Vril said. You can't even get close to a Vexcar in 2 weeks. Then you have nothing to lose by letting us try, Na Young said. The council voted. It was close. But Thelvox's support made the difference. Hyunsik and Na Young had 14 days to achieve what no other species had managed in 6 months. As they left the council hall, a human man approached them. He was young, maybe 25, with a friendly smile. I'm Jin Woo. I run the supply depot. I heard what you're doing. Everyone thinks you're crazy. Probably, Hyunsik said. But I grew up on a farm on Earth, Jin Woo continued. My grandmother raised animals that everyone said were too wild to handle. She always found a way. If you need anything, let me know. Thank you, Na Young said. Tae-hee joined them outside. I'm assigning 2 guards to you at all times. Non-negotiable. I won't have more injured humans on my record. That night, Hyunsik and Na Young reviewed all of Dr. Oryx's research. Hours of video footage showed Vex's car attacking fences, breaking through barriers, and fighting off capture teams. Every recording showed the same thing, pure aggression and power. But Na Young noticed something. Look at this, she said, pointing to one video. Watch the Vex car's ears. Hyunsik leaned closer. The creature's ears moved just before it attacked. They flattened against its head. It's afraid, Na Young said. Afraid? Hyunsik replayed the video. Dr. Oryx said, they have no fear response. He's wrong. Look, every time someone approaches with a weapon or a capture device, the ears go flat. That's a fear response. The Vex car attacks because it's scared, not because it's naturally aggressive. Hyunsik smiled. Everyone has been treating the symptom instead of the cause. Exactly. They see aggression and respond with force. That makes the Vex car more afraid. So it gets more aggressive. It's a cycle. So how do we break it? Na Young shut off the display. We stop trying to control them. We start trying to communicate. Outside, in the darkness beyond the colony walls, a Vex's car watched the lights. Its silver fur caught the moonlight. It had been coming to this spot every night for weeks, drawn by something it didn't understand. A sound, a frequency. Something different from the harsh noises of machines and weapons. The Vex car didn't know that tomorrow, 2 humans would come looking for it. It didn't know that they carried no weapons, no cages, no traps. It only knew that something was about to change. In the distance, another alarm began to ring. The morning sun was barely up when Hyun-sik and Na-young left the colony. Tae-hee had assigned them 2 guards, both humans who looked nervous. The guards carried weapons, but Hyun-sik made them promise not to shoot unless absolutely necessary. "Where are we going?" one guard asked. "To watch," Na-young said simply. They walked for an hour until they found tracks. The Vex car had sharp claws that left deep marks in the dirt. The tracks led to a rocky area with caves and shade, perfect territory for a predator that avoided the hot midday sun. "Set up there," Hyun-sik pointed to a spot about 100 meters from the caves. "We'll watch from a distance." "That's it?" the guard asked. "You're just going to sit and watch?" "For now, yes." The guards looked at each other but said nothing. They set up a small camp and waited. For 3 days, they watched. They saw Vex's car come and go from the caves. The creatures hunted small animals and ate plants. They groomed their silver fur carefully. Sometimes they fought with each other, but the fights were short. One Vex car would back down, and both would leave in different directions. Dr. Oryx visited on the 2nd day. He arrived in a transport with several assistants. "I came to see what progress you've made. We're learning their patterns," Na-young said, not looking away from her binoculars. "Patterns? I already documented their patterns. They hunt at dawn and dusk. They sleep in caves during the day. They are territorial and solitary. What else is there to learn?" Hyun-sik pointed to a Vex car near the cave entrance. "That one is different. See how it holds its left front leg? There's a small injury. It favors the other legs when it walks. So, an injury is meaningless." "Not meaningless," Na-young said. "That Vex car has been here for 3 days. If they're truly solitary and territorial, why haven't the others driven it away? It's vulnerable, but they're tolerating it." Dr. Oryx stared through his own viewing device. "Coincidence. Perhaps the others haven't noticed. Or perhaps," Hyun-sik said, "there's more social structure than you think. They're not constantly alone. They have some kind of community, even if it's loose." "Impossible. My brain scans show." "Your brain scans show what happens when a Vex car is captured and terrified," Na-young interrupted gently. "Not what happens in normal life." Dr. Oryx left without another word. His assistants hurried after him. On the 4th day, Na-young noticed something else. One Vex car, younger than the others, kept appearing near their camp. It stayed far away but watched them with intelligent eyes. "That one is curious," she said. "Curious is good," Hyun-sik replied. "Curious means there's intelligence. Intelligence means we can communicate." That afternoon, Na-young tried something. She had brought a small whistle from Earth. It made sounds at different frequencies. She tested different patterns. Watching the young Vex car's ears, most sounds got no reaction. But when she blew 3 short bursts followed by 1 long tone, the Vex car's ears perked up. It tilted its head. "Did you see that?" Na-young whispered. "Try it again." She repeated the pattern. 3 short, 1 long. The Vex car took 3 steps closer, then stopped. Its ears were forward, alert, but not flat with fear. "It's listening," Hyun-sik said. They returned to the colony that evening. Tae-hee met them at the gate. "The council wants an update. It's been 4 days. Commander Vril is pushing for a vote to end your experiment. We need more time," Na-young said. "Tell them what you've learned so far." "We've learned that everything they think about the Vex car is wrong," Hyun-sik said. "But we can't prove it yet." The council meeting was smaller this time. Only the key representatives attended. Commander Vril stood with his arms crossed. 4 days and you have nothing to show. No progress. No captured Vex car. No proof of concept. "We're not trying to capture one," Na-young said. "Then what are you doing?" "We're introducing ourselves." The room fell silent. Then, several representatives started talking at once. It was ridiculous. It was a waste of time. It was impossible to introduce yourself to something that couldn't understand language. Thelvox raised his hand for silence. "Explain what you mean." Hyun-sik stood. Every species here has tried to control the Vex car through force or technology. Neural inhibitors, capture devices, sonic barriers. All of these things are threats. The Vex's car responds to threats with aggression. That's not stupidity. That's survival. So what do you propose? Another representative asked. We stop threatening them. We show them we're not dangerous. We let them get used to us. Then, maybe, we can start a dialogue. Dialogue? Commander Vril laughed. They're animals. So were dogs. Once. Na Young said quietly. So were horses. So were every species that humans ever domesticated on Earth. We didn't start with control. We started with trust. This is not Earth, Dr. Oryx said. Earth animals evolved alongside humans. The Vex car did not. They have no genetic predisposition to bond with your species. Maybe not, Hyun-sik admitted. But they have intelligence, and intelligence can learn new things. The council gave them 1 more week, 7 days to show real progress, or the extermination order would go through. The next morning, Hyun-sik and Na-young brought something new to their observation camp: food. They had researched what the Vex car ate and prepared fresh meat and fruit. They placed it on the ground 50 meters from where they sat. The young Vex car appeared an hour after dawn. It smelled the food immediately, but it didn't rush forward. It circled the area. Watching them carefully, Na-young blew her whistle. 3 short, 1 long. The Vex car's ears perked up. It looked directly at her. She gestured to the food with an open hand, then moved back to show she wasn't guarding it. The Vex car waited 10 minutes. Then it moved forward slowly. It grabbed a piece of meat and ran back to a safe distance. It ate while watching them. Progress, Hyun-sik whispered. Over the next 3 days, they repeated this pattern. Food in the morning, the whistle. The young Vex car would come, eat, and leave. Each day it got a little closer. Each day it stayed a little longer. Jinwoo visited with supplies on the 7th day. The whole colony is talking about you two. Half think you're geniuses. Half think you're crazy. What do you think? Na-young asked. Jinwoo watched the young Vex car eating breakfast 50 meters away. I think you're doing what my grandmother would do. She always said animals aren't problems to solve. They're neighbors to understand. Smart woman, Hyun-sik said. She was. She trained a wild bear once. Everyone said it was impossible. She said the bear wasn't wild, just scared. Took her 3 months, but that bear followed her around like a puppy eventually. 3 months, Na-young said. We have 3 days. On the 8th day, something changed. Na-young placed the food as usual and blew her whistle. The young Vex car appeared, but it didn't go straight to the food. Instead, it sat down 20 meters away and just looked at her. What's it doing? One of the guards asked. Deciding, Hyun-sik said. Deciding if we're safe. Na-young blew the whistle again. 3 short, 1 long. Then she sat down on the ground. She made herself smaller, less threatening. The Vex's car stood up and walked forward. Not to the food. To Na-young. Don't move, Hyun-sik whispered to the guards. Don't even breathe loud. The Vex's car stopped 3 meters from Na-young. Its nose twitched, smelling her. Its silver fur rippled in the morning breeze. For a long moment, neither moved. Then the Vex car turned, walked to the food, and began eating. But this time, it didn't run away. It ate right there, comfortable in their presence. My God, one guard whispered. It trusts her. When they returned to the colony that evening, Tae-hee was waiting with news. Commander Vril called an emergency session. There was another attack this afternoon. A Vex's car got into the warehouse district, damaged some equipment. He's demanding the council vote tonight. We need 1 more day, Hyun-sik said. You might not have it. The emergency council session was tense. Commander Vril showed video of the warehouse attack. Equipment broken, supplies scattered, workers terrified. We cannot wait any longer, he declared. These creatures are a menace. The humans have made no real progress. That's not true, Thelvox argued. They have established contact with 1 Vex car. 1? There are 30 of them. What good is one? Hyunsik stood. It's proof of concept. We proved they can learn. We proved they can trust. We just need more time to expand the relationship. How much more time? A few more weeks. Maybe a month. The council erupted in argument. A month was too long. People were getting hurt. The colony couldn't function like this. Commander Vril called for a vote. All in favor of requesting extermination permission from the Galactic Conservation Corps. Hands and appendages started to rise around the room. Then the alarm rang. Another attack. This time in the residential sector, close to the living quarters where families slept. That settles it, Commander Vril said. We vote now. But Hyunsik was already running for the door. Na Young followed. If a Vex car was near the residential sector, people would panic. Guards would shoot. Everything they had worked for would be lost. They reached the residential sector in minutes. People were screaming and running. Guards had their weapons raised. And there, in the center of the chaos, was a Vex car, but it wasn't their young friend. This was a larger adult, and it was angry. The adult Vex car stood in the middle of the street, snarling at the crowd. Its silver fur stood on end, making it look even bigger. Blood dripped from a cut on its side. Someone had already shot it, but the wound only made it more dangerous. Everyone back, Tae-hee shouted. She had arrived with 6 security officers. All of them had their weapons raised. Get the civilians to safety. Hyunsik pushed through the crowd. Don't shoot it. Are you insane? Tae-hee yelled. That thing is about to attack. It's scared. Look at its ears. The Vex's car's ears were flat against its head. Its eyes were wide. It spun in circles, looking for an escape route. But people surrounded it on all sides. Every direction meant danger. Na Young appeared beside Hyunsik. We need to give it space. Make a path. If we give it a path, it might run toward the residential buildings, Tae-hee said. There are children in there. If you trap it, it will definitely attack. Hyunsik said. Please. Trust me. Tae-hee looked at the Vex car, then at Hyunsik. Finally, she nodded. You have 30 seconds. Then we shoot. Hyunsik turned to the crowd. Everyone move to the left. Clear the right side. Slowly. No sudden movements. The crowd shifted nervously. The Vex car watched every movement, ready to strike. Na Young raised her whistle to her lips. She blew the pattern. 3 short bursts. 1 long tone. The Vex car's ears twitched. She blew it again. 3 short, 1 long. The Vex car stopped spinning. It looked at Na Young. For a moment, the chaos around them seemed to pause. It's not working, Tae-hee said, her finger on the trigger. That's not your Vex car. I know, Na Young whispered. But sound is universal. She blew the whistle 1 more time, then lowered it. She took 3 steps backward, away from the Vex's car. She gestured to the open path the crowd had created. The Vex car looked at the path. It looked at Na Young. Then it ran. Not toward the residential buildings, but away from the colony, toward the open desert. The crowd erupted in noise. Some people cheered. Others demanded to know why the guards hadn't shot the creature. Tae-hee lowered her weapon slowly. That, she said, was the stupidest, bravest thing I've ever seen. Hyunsik let out a breath he didn't know he'd been holding. It worked. Barely, Tae-hee said. Next time, we might not be so lucky. But there was something else. In the chaos, Hyunsik had noticed something important. The injured Vexay car had come from the direction of the new mining expansion, the area where humans had been working all week, pushing deeper into Vex car territory. We're the problem, he said quietly. What? The attacks. They're not random. Every attack happens near the expansion site. We're destroying their hunting grounds. They're not being aggressive. They're being defensive. Back at the council chamber, the vote was delayed. What Hyunsik and Na Young had done stopping an attack without violence had impressed enough representatives to buy them time. But not much. 5 more days, Thelvox said. That's all I could negotiate. And you must show real progress. No more close calls. That night, Hyun-sik couldn't sleep. 5 days wasn't enough. They had made contact with one young Vex's car, but that was far from solving the real problem. They needed to prove that the relationship could extend to other Vex car. They needed to prove it could keep people safe. The next morning, they returned to their observation camp with a plan. They brought more food than usual and set it out in a wide circle. Then they waited. The young Vex's car Na Young had started calling it chul. A Korean word meaning strong arrived first. It went straight to the food, comfortable now in their presence. But Hyun-sik and Na Young weren't watching chul. They were watching the rocks beyond. 2 other Vex car were there. Curious, hungry, but cautious. Na Young blew her whistle. Chul's ears perked up as always. But something else happened. The 2 watching Vex car tilted their heads. They looked at Chul, then at the humans, then back at Chul. They're learning from watching, Hyun-sik whispered. Social learning. Dr. Oryx said they didn't have it. But he was wrong. Over the next hour, they watched as one of the other Vex car, a female, smaller than Chul, crept closer. She didn't approach the humans directly. She approached Chul. The 2 Vex's car touched noses briefly. Some kind of greeting. Then the female moved to the food. She ate quickly, ready to run at any moment. But when nothing bad happened, she relaxed slightly. 2 of them, Na Young said. We're building a relationship with 2 of them now. But progress was slow. By day 12, they had regular contact with 3 Vex car, including Chul. The creatures would eat near them, tolerate their presence, and respond to the whistle. But that was all. They weren't trained, they couldn't be commanded, and the council wanted more. This isn't enough, Doctor, Oryx said during his daily visit. You've created a feeding station. That's not the same as control. What happens when someone else encounters a Vex car? Will your whistle work then? We don't know yet, Hyun-sik admitted. Exactly. You have 3 days left. 3 days to prove this has practical value. The breakthrough came on day 13, but not the way anyone expected. A maintenance worker named Min Ho was checking equipment near the edge of the colony. He was alone, which was against safety protocol. He thought he would only be gone for a few minutes. But a Vex car appeared. Not one of the 3 that Hyun-sik and Na Young had been working with. A different one. Larger. More aggressive. Min Ho panicked. He ran. The Vex car's instincts kicked in. It chased. Min Ho stumbled and fell. The Vex car charged. And then Chul appeared. The young Vex car that Na Young had been working with for almost 2 weeks stepped between Min Ho and the aggressive adult. Chul was smaller, younger, and should have backed down immediately, but it didn't. Chul snarled at the adult. A warning. The adult snarled back. For a moment, it looked like they would fight. Then, Na Young's voice carried across the distance. She had been working nearby and heard the commotion. She blew her whistle. 3 short, 1 long. Chul's ears perked up. The young Vex's car looked back at Na Young, then at the adult, then at Min Ho on the ground. Na Young blew the whistle again, calmer this time, a gentle sound. Chul relaxed slightly. The adult Vex car, seeing Chul calm down, became less aggressive. The tension broke. The adult turned and left. Chul stayed, standing over Min Ho protectively until Na Young arrived. You saved me, Min Ho said, looking at Chul in wonder. It actually saved me. Security cameras had caught the whole thing. By that evening, everyone in the colony had seen the footage. The young Vex car, defending a human. Responding to the whistle, choosing protection over aggression. The council met that night. Even Commander Vril was quiet as they watched the video replay. It's one incident, Dr. Oryx said, but his voice lacked its usual certainty. One Vex car. This doesn't prove. It proves enough, Thelvox interrupted. It proves they can learn. It proves they can form bonds across species. It proves they can choose peaceful behavior. But can the humans replicate this with other Vexcar? Another representative asked. Can others learn their methods? Where? That was the real question. Hyun-sik and Na-young had succeeded with Chul. But was it just them? Was there something special about their approach that couldn't be taught? We can teach it, Na-young said. The principles are simple. Patience, respect, communication instead of control. Anyone can learn. Then prove it, Commander Vril said. Train someone else. Show us this isn't just about you two. The next morning, Jin-woo volunteered. I want to try, he said. I understand animals. My grandmother taught me. I can learn your methods. Hyun-sik and Na-young spent the day teaching him. They explained the whistle pattern. They showed him how to read Vexcar body language. They taught him to move slowly, speak softly, and never show aggression. Jin-woo was a natural. By afternoon, he could blow the whistle pattern perfectly. Chul responded to him, just as well as to Na-young, but then Dr. Oryx brought someone else. A reptilian technician named Sora who had never worked with animals before. If your method truly works, Dr. Oryx said, then even someone with no experience should be able to learn it. Sora was nervous. Her scales kept changing colors, shifting from green to blue to gray. But she tried. Na-young taught her the whistle. Hyun-sik showed her how to read Chul's ear positions and body stance. It took hours. Sora's first attempts at whistling were off-key. Chul ignored her. But she kept trying. And slowly, gradually, Chul began to respond. First just looking at her, then moving closer. Finally, by sunset, eating food from her outstretched hand. I did it, Sora whispered, her scales glowing bright yellow with happiness. I actually did it. That night, the council voted again. This time, the vote was unanimous. No extermination order. Instead, they would expand the program. More people would learn. More Vexcar would be contacted. The mining expansion would stop until they could negotiate territory boundaries with the creatures. You did it, Thelvok said to Hyun-sik and Na-young. You achieved the impossible. We just did what humans have always done, Na-young said. We listened. We cared. We tried to understand, but their work wasn't finished. What they had started was just the beginning. News traveled fast across the galaxy. Within a month, everyone knew about the humans who had tamed the untamable Vexcar. Scientists from a dozen worlds requested to visit Talos 9. Universities wanted to study their methods. Media outlets broadcast interviews with Hyun-sik and Na-young across known space. But not all the attention was welcome. The ship arrived on a Tuesday morning. It was huge, expensive, and bore the logo of Helix Industries, one of the largest mining corporations in the galaxy. A human man stepped off the transport, dressed in a perfect suit that probably cost more than Hyun-sik made in a year. I'm Director Yoon-sok, the man said, extending his hand. I've come a long way to meet you both. They met in the colony's conference room. Yoon-sok brought presentations and proposals. He showed footage of dangerous mining operations on hostile worlds, places where local predators killed workers regularly. Imagine, Yoon-sok said, if we could use your methods across the galaxy. Train local predators to protect mining sites instead of attacking them. Save lives. Increase productivity. Make dangerous worlds safer. That sounds good, Na-young said carefully. And profitable. Yoon-sok interrupted with a smile. Very profitable. For everyone involved, we're prepared to offer you both positions as chief xenobiologists. Triple your current salary. Access to unlimited resources. You could train people across hundreds of worlds. Hyun-sik and Na-young exchanged glances. It was tempting. They could do so much good with those resources. But something felt wrong. What exactly would you want us to do? Hyun-sik asked. Yoon-sok pulled up another presentation. We've identified 17 species across 12 worlds that are similar to the Vexcar. Aggressive, territorial, difficult to handle. We want you to create training programs. Teach our employees to bond with these creatures. Then we use them as security assets. Security assets? Na Young repeated. You mean guards? Exactly. These creatures are already territorial. We just redirect that territorial instinct. They protect our sites from intruders, dangerous wildlife, anything that threatens operations. No, Na Young said. Yoon Suk's smile faded. No? What we did with the Vex car wasn't about making them useful. It was about understanding them, respecting them, living alongside them, and that's wonderful, Yoon Suk said. But think bigger. Think about the good you could do. The lives you could save. By turning wild animals into weapons? Hyunsik shook his head. That's not what we do. Yoon Suk's friendly tone disappeared. You're making a mistake. Helix Industries is offering you an opportunity. We could do this with or without you. But it would be better with you. Then do it without us, Na Young said. After Yoon Suk left, Tae-hee found them in the cafeteria. I looked into Helix Industries. They have a bad reputation. 3 colonies filed complaints against them last year. Unsafe working conditions. Environmental damage. They don't care about anything except profit. We made the right choice, Hyunsik said. I know. But he wasn't bluffing. They will try to do this without you. She was right. 2 weeks later, another human arrived. His name was Dong Min. And he was a corporate trainer hired by Helix Industries. He had watched all the footage of Hyunsik and Na Young working with the Vex's car. He had studied their methods. He believed he could replicate them. I don't need your permission, Dong Min said when they confronted him. The Vex car aren't your property. I have as much right to work with them as you do. It's not about rights, Na Young said. It's about respect. The Vex car aren't tools. Everything is a tool if you use it correctly, Dongmin replied. He set up his own camp on the opposite side of the colony. He had expensive equipment, a large team, and corporate funding. He also had a whistle. He had studied the exact frequency pattern that Na Young used. 3 short bursts, 1 long tone. But Dongmin was impatient. He didn't spend days observing. He didn't learn the Vex car's natural patterns. He went straight to conditioning. Food rewards for desired behavior. The whistle as a command tool. He treated it like training a dog. At first, it seemed to work. A young Vex car, not Chul but a different one, responded to the food. It came when Dongmin whistled. It followed simple commands. In just 5 days, Dongmin had what he wanted to show Helix Industries. See? Dongmin said, broadcasting footage back to his corporate bosses. The humans were too soft. You don't need months of relationship building. You just need the right incentives, Jin Woo warned them. Dongmin is pushing too hard. The Vex car he's working with looks stressed. He won't listen to us, Hyun-sik said. We already tried. The disaster happened on day 6. Dongmin decided to show off his trained Vex car to a group of corporate executives who had come to evaluate his work. He had the Vex car perform tricks, sit, stay, come when called. The executives were impressed. Then someone dropped a datapad. It clattered loudly on the ground. The Vex car's ears flattened. In an instant, it went from calm to aggressive. It lunged at the nearest person. A female executive. Dongmin blew his whistle frantically, but the Vex's car ignored him. The relationship had been superficial, based on food, not trust. And now it was breaking down. Security shot the Vex car with tranquilizers. It took 6 darts to bring it down. By then, 3 people were injured. Not critically, but enough to cause panic. This is what happens, Commander Vril said at the emergency council meeting. When we pretend we can control nature. We should have eliminated these creatures when we had the chance. Dongmin didn't use our methods, Na Young argued. He rushed. He skipped all the important steps. Maybe your methods don't work, Dr. Oryx said. Maybe what happened with Chul was luck. It wasn't luck, Jinwoo said, standing up. I've worked with Chul. So has Sora. So have 6 other people. It works when you do it right. Dongmin did it wrong, but the damage was done. The council voted to restrict all Vex-Car contact. No more training programs. No more research. Everyone had to stay inside the colony boundaries. Worse, Helix Industries didn't abandon the project. They just moved it off-world. Dongmin took 3 captured Vex-Car to a Helix facility on another planet. He would continue his research there, away from oversight. They're going to hurt those creatures, Na Young said that night. They're going to keep pushing until something terrible happens. There's nothing we can do, Hyunsik said. They're outside our jurisdiction now, but something terrible did happen, sooner than anyone expected. The alarm woke everyone at 2 a.m. A Vex-Car had escaped from Dongmin's transport ship. It was inside the colony, and it was heading toward the residential sector. By the time security arrived, the Vex-Car had already trapped a group of people in a dead-end alley. 5 adults and 3 children from various species. The Vex-Car blocked the only exit, snarling and aggressive. Tae-hee and her team surrounded the area, but they couldn't get a clear shot without risking the civilians. We have to do something, Tae-hee said into her comm. The kids are terrified. Hyunsik heard the call. He grabbed Na Young, and they ran toward the residential sector. When they arrived, they saw the situation immediately. The trapped people. The angry Vex's car. Security teams with weapons raised. But this wasn't one of the Vex car they knew. This was one of Dongmin's captures. It had been caged, transported, stressed, and mistreated. It had every reason to hate humans and aliens alike. Don't shoot, Hyunsik said, pushing through the security line. Are you crazy? Tae-hee grabbed his arm. That thing is about to attack. If you shoot and miss, you might hit the civilians. Let me try. Hyunsik, this isn't Chul. This Vex car doesn't know you. I know. But maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe it doesn't matter. Hyunsik walked slowly into the alley. The Vex car turned to face him. Its ears were flat. Its teeth were bared. Every muscle was tense. Hyunsik stopped 10 meters away. He sat down on the ground, made himself small, non-threatening. The Vex's car didn't move. Hyunsik spoke softly, not words, just gentle sounds, calming tones. The same kind of voice Na Young had used with Chul in the beginning. The Vex car tilted its head slightly. Then Hyunsik heard footsteps behind him. He turned and saw Na Young and Chul. She had gone to their camp and brought the young Vex car back to the colony. Chul knows what fear smells like, Na Young said quietly. Maybe he can help. She released Chul. The young Vex car walked forward, past Hyunsik, toward the aggressive adult. The 2 Vex car faced each other. What happened next, no human or alien had ever seen before. The 2 Vex car began communicating. Not with violence, but with sounds, postures, and scents. Chul's ears were forward, relaxed. The aggressive adult's ears slowly rose from their flat position. Na Young blew her whistle. 3 short, 1 long. Not as a command. As a greeting. A familiar sound in an unfamiliar situation. Chul responded to the whistle, turning to look at Na Young. The aggressive Vex car watched this interaction. Saw Chul's comfort around the humans. Saw the lack of threat. Slowly, gradually, the aggressive Vex car's posture changed. The tension left its muscles. Its snarl faded. It looked at the trapped civilians one more time, then turned away. Both Vex car walked out of the alley together. Chul led the way, and the adult followed. They passed through the security line and disappeared into the darkness beyond the colony. The alley was silent for a long moment. Then one of the children started crying, and their parent hugged them tight. What just happened? Tae-hee asked. I think, Hyunsik said slowly. Chul just taught that Vexi's car, that humans can be trusted. Social learning, Dr. Oryx said. He had arrived during the crisis. The video of Chul protecting the civilians went viral across the galaxy. Within days, it had been viewed billions of times. Scientists, politicians, and ordinary people all watched the moment when one species taught another the meaning of trust. But the video also exposed Helix Industries. Investigators discovered that Dong Min had been keeping Vex's car in terrible conditions. Small cages. No environmental enrichment. Constant stress. The Galactic Conservation Corps launched a formal investigation. Director Yoon Sok tried to distance himself from the scandal. Dong Min acted independently, he claimed. Helix Industries never authorized mistreatment, but Jin Woo had been gathering evidence. He had copies of corporate emails, budget reports, and training manuals. All of it showed that Helix knew exactly what Dong Min was doing. They had approved every step. They wanted weapons, Jin Woo said at the hearing. Not partners, not companions. Weapons they could sell to the highest bidder. The Galactic Conservation Corps shut down Helix's Xenobiology division. Director Yoon Sok was removed from his position. The three captured Vex's car were returned to Talis 9, where Hyun Sik and Na Young spent weeks helping them recover from their trauma. But the bigger question remained. What now? The galaxy had seen what was possible. Humans had succeeded where every other species had failed. How would this change things? Ambassador Thelvox called a meeting with representatives from 30 worlds. They gathered on Talis 9 to discuss a new approach to xenobiology. For too long, Thelvox said, we have treated difficult species as problems to eliminate or control. The humans have shown us a third option: understanding and cooperation. But can their methods be taught to other species? A representative asked. Or is this something only humans can do? Dr. Oryx stood to answer. Over the past months, he had become a student of human methods. His pride had been damaged, but his curiosity remained strong. I have studied this extensively, Dr. Oryx said. The human approach is not genetic. It is cultural. They have thousands of years of experience domesticating animals on their home world. They learned patience, observation, and emotional connection. These are skills that can be taught. I can confirm this, Sora added. She was the reptilian technician who had learned to work with Chul. I had no experience with animals before, but Na Young taught me. Now, I work with 3 different Vex-Car regularly. If I can learn, anyone can. The representatives agreed to create a new organization, the Interspecies Communication Institute. Its purpose would be to train people from all species in ethical xenobiology. Hyun Sik and Na Young would lead the program. We'll need facilities, Na Young said. Not labs, not zoos, natural habitats where species can be studied in their own environments. And strict rules, Hyun Sik added. No one studies a species unless that species' welfare comes first. No exceptions. Tae-hee volunteered to create security protocols. We need to make sure this knowledge isn't misused. What Helix tried to do can't happen again. Over the next 6 months, the institute grew. Jin Woo helped design supply systems for field researchers. Sora developed training materials for different species. Even Commander Vril contributed, creating safety guidelines that protected both researchers and animals. Dong Min, surprisingly, asked to join the program. He appeared at the institute one day, looking humbled. I was wrong, he said to Hyun Sik and Na Young. I treated the Vex car like machines. I didn't see them as living beings with feelings and needs. I want to learn the right way. If you'll teach me. Na Young looked at him for a long moment. Why should we trust you? You shouldn't. Not yet. But give me a chance to prove I've changed. They accepted him as a student. It wasn't easy. Dong Min had to unlearn everything he thought he knew. He had to be patient when his instincts screamed for quick results. He had to care about creatures he had once seen as tools. But slowly, he changed. 3 months later, he successfully bonded with a young Vex car. The creature trusted him, not because Dong Min commanded it, but because he had earned that trust through genuine care. I understand now, Dong Min said. It's not about making them obey. It's about building a relationship. Exactly, Na Young said. The Institute's first major test came from an unexpected source, A mining colony on the planet Corsa 3 faced a crisis. A species called the Thornbacks, massive, armored creatures with incredible strength, were attacking mining equipment. The colony wanted to exterminate them. "This is familiar," Hyun-sik said when the request arrived. "They're calling us before making any final decisions." The team that went to Corsa 3 included Hyun-sik, Na-young, Dr. Oryx, Sora, and Dong-min. They arrived to find a situation almost identical to Talos 9. Scared colonists, aggressive creatures, a species everyone said couldn't be understood. "We've tried everything," the colony administrator said. "The Thornbacks are completely unpredictable. Let us observe them first," Hyun-sik said. They spent 2 weeks watching the Thornbacks, learning their patterns, understanding their behavior. And they discovered the same truth they had found with the Vexcar. The creatures weren't randomly aggressive. They were protecting something. "Their nests are underground, Doctor," Oryx explained after days of careful study. "The mining operations are directly above their breeding grounds. They hear the machines. They feel the vibrations. They think their young are in danger. So we're the threat," the administrator said. "Yes. But it's fixable. Move the mining operations half a kilometer east. Leave this area alone. The attacks will stop." The colony relocated their operations. Within days, the Thornback attacks ended. The creatures went back to their normal behavior, calm, careful, and completely non-aggressive when not threatened. "You didn't even need to communicate with them," the administrator said, amazed. "You just needed to understand them." "Sometimes," Na-young said. "That's all it takes." Word of this success spread even further. More colonies called for help. More species that were labeled impossible were studied with patience and respect, and in almost every case, the Institute found solutions. Not every species could be befriended like the Vexcar. Some were too solitary. Some were too different from any species anyone had encountered. But all of them could be understood. All of them had reasons for their behavior. And understanding those reasons made coexistence possible. A year after the incident with Chul, Hyun-sik and Na-young returned to Talos 9. The colony had changed dramatically. Vexcar now roamed freely near the settlement. The mining operations had been reorganized to avoid their territories. Humans and aliens lived alongside the creatures without fear. Chul had become something of a celebrity. Young Vexcar seemed to learn from him. He showed them that the two-legged beings weren't threats, that the whistles were greetings, not warnings. That trust was possible. "He's teaching them," Na-young said, watching Chul interact with a group of younger Vexcar. "Just like we taught him. Social learning," Dr. Oryx said. He visited often now, always eager to learn more. "The gift that keeps giving," Tae-hee approached with news. "We just got a call from the Galactic Council. They want to make the Institute's methods mandatory for all first contact situations. Anytime a colony encounters a new species, they have to try understanding before considering elimination." "That's a big change," Hyun-sik said. "It's the right change," Tae-hee replied. "You two started something important. The whole galaxy is watching." That evening, they received an urgent message. A research station on the edge of explored space had encountered something new. A species unlike anything anyone had seen before. Six-eyed, massive, and seemingly mindless. The researchers were terrified. The station commander wanted to request military intervention. "But first," the message said, "the Galactic Council requires us to consult with the Interspecies Communication Institute. They say if anyone can communicate with this creature, it's you." Hyun-sik and Na-young looked at each other and smiled. "Another impossible case," Na-young said. "They said the same thing about the Vexcar," Hyun-sik replied. "They packed their equipment. Whistles, observation tools, food samples, recording devices, everything they had learned to use over the past year. But the most important tools weren't physical. They were patience, respect, and the willingness to listen." The transport lifted off from Talos 9 the next morning. As they left, Hyun-sik looked out the window. Below, he could see Chul standing on a hill, watching their ship depart. The young Vex car's silver fur gleamed in the morning sun. "Do you think we'll see him again?" Hyun-sik asked. "I think Chul will be fine," Na-young said. "He doesn't need us anymore. He has his own pack now. His own purpose." They arrived at the research station 3 days later. The creature was waiting in a valley near the station. It was enormous, 10 meters tall, covered in rocky plates, with 6 glowing eyes that tracked every movement. "We've tried scanning it," a scientist said, "but our instruments can't penetrate its hide. We don't know if it's intelligent or just a very large animal." "Let's find out," Hyun-sik said. They approached slowly, unarmed. The creature watched them, but didn't move. Hyun-sik sat down 100 meters away. Na-young sat beside him. They didn't try to capture it, didn't try to scan it, didn't try to control it. They just waited. An hour passed. The creature didn't move. Neither did the humans. 2 hours. The research station staff watched nervously from the windows. 3 hours. The sun began to set. Then Na-young had an idea. She pulled out her whistle. Not the same pattern she used with the Vex car. This creature was different. It would need its own language. She blew a single, long, low note. The creature's 6 eyes focused on her. All of them, suddenly alert. She blew the note again. Longer this time. The creature made a sound, deep and rumbling. It wasn't aggressive. It was curious. Na-young smiled. "Hello," she said softly. "We're listening. Take your time. We're not going anywhere." Behind them, Dr. Oryx was recording everything. Sora was taking notes. Dongmin was preparing food samples, just in case this creature responded to offerings like the Vex car had. But Hyun-sik wasn't watching the equipment or the data. He was watching the creature. Watching its eyes. Watching the way it tilted its massive head. Watching it decide whether to trust them. "They said it can't be trained," a researcher whispered from the station. Hyun-sik heard it and almost laughed. How many times had he heard that phrase? About the Vex car. About the Thornbacks. About every species that seemed too wild, too dangerous, too different, and every time, the answer was the same. They weren't trying to train it. They were trying to understand it. There was a difference. A big difference. Na-young blew her whistle again. The creature rumbled in response. And in that moment, in that simple exchange of sound, the first conversation between humans and this new species began. It would take time. Weeks, maybe months. There would be setbacks and mistakes. But there would also be breakthroughs and moments of connection, because that's what always happened when you approached the impossible with patience and respect. The galaxy was vast, full of strange species and difficult challenges. But Hyun-sik and Na-young had learned something important, something they would carry to every new world, every new creature, every new impossible situation. Communication doesn't start with control. It starts with listening. And once you start listening, anything becomes possible.